Good afternoon. So, first of all, who is tired in the room? Please raise your hand if you feel a bit tired. Nobody's tired? Everyone's still energized? Okay, that's good news, because I'll have to shorten my presentation. It's quite late in the afternoon, but however, you will receive the full slide deck, and you'll be able to see also the missing content. Who am I? I'm actually an entrepreneur and educator at the same time. 20 years ago, I founded Ascend Group, which is a purely HR company that has been helping companies mainly across Europe to design better experiences for their employees. And gradually, I realized that in the HR space, we are missing the innovation flavor, the innovation spirit. So 8 years ago, I co-founded Design Thinkers Academy, Eastern Europe, trying to bring some innovation spice into the HR world. This brought us to our last company, Horizon X, a company that is actually blending HR tools and frameworks with tools from the world of innovation, helping organizations to open up to new ways of doing things. So today, I will try to bring these things together in this keynote, trying to explain actually why we need to put empathy and artificial intelligence together. And I heard so many brilliant talks today and yesterday about this topic. I even changed my presentation this morning, removing some of the things that I consider already redundant because they were told by other speakers. So we never had more tech than today at work. Still, we have so much burnout and disengagement. And this is worrying us, of course. And today, I want to move from empathy being seen as a soft skill. I think it's very hard. Empathy is hard, it's not soft. And AI as an enemy. Oh, it's going to come take off our jobs. To empathy as a force, and AI as a force multiplier or an enabler that together can help us to make people thrive at work, not replacing people, but helping them to be able to find more meaning in their jobs. And our aim, I strongly believe, our aim should be to build a future that is both high-tech and high-touch. And I might be an optimistic, but I truly believe this is possible. So how can we do it? We are all aware that today's world is really challenging. It's a society quickly changing, increasingly complex, where competition and speed are going up. So change, there's always been change in the society, but the pace of change has never been as today. And I want to illustrate that with a statistic, with a graphic. This graphic shows us how long it took for various services to reach 50 million users. So if you look at the airlines, for example, it took them 64 years. Then if we pick electricity, 46. Computers, just 14. Internet, 7. Pokemon Go? Pokemon Go. I will not say what I think about this game. It took them only 19 days to reach 50 million users. And by the time I built this graphic, actually 2 years ago, I had to change it already. Because now we have ChatGPT in just 2 months, not 50,000, but 100 million users. And Threads in 1 week reaching 100 million users. What this graph actually tells us, it's a good news and a bad news. The good news is that if you're really good, no matter in which part of the world you live, if you have good idea, if you can build organizations that have a strong culture of innovation, you can disrupt markets in days. At the same time, the bad news is if you don't do it, someone else will do it. And then you might go bankrupt in just days. So this is really a turning point in our history. And we heard so many talks about the technology and AI these days. And actually what struck me some time ago was this, with this graph from Aspen Institute saying that in the history of humanity, always, until now, the human adaptability was faster than the rise of technology. Unfortunately, now we stay here in this point where technology goes faster than our capability to adapt. And this is a major threat. So we have to change completely the way we do things. We have to learn faster. We have to govern smarter. We have to break some patterns. We have to change the way we work in the organizations. If we continue to do things in the way we did before, it's really hard to be successful on the long run. And this is, and I will very quickly move to that, but this is actually an analysis that was recently published by Forbes, showing the levels of agentic AI in the organizations. And we are actually somewhere here between the conversational AI that was launched in 2022 to reasoning AI, the moment when already AI reaches the level of a PhD student, to autonomous AI, where can be autonomously performing tasks, then moving to innovating AI that requires a blend of creativity into organizational AI, organizations that embed AI in all the functions and have a level of autonomy that is beyond our imagination of today. And I want to illustrate with an example on how fast AI is actually changing. So Midjourney is one of the AI platforms, maybe you're familiar with them, that generates images. This is a prompt, quite complex, you don't need to read it, of course, on how to build an image of a person that is wearing a well-met, and there are lots of details, like a good prompt should be, with many, many details. So this was the first version in February 22nd, and this is the last version. So the evolution of this tool, the velocity of learning and improving in just 3 years, for me, it's still shocking. Now, the question is, how about our organizations in the last 3 years? Have we managed to change so fast? How much? And it's really a question that every HR person in this room and every leader in this room should ask himself. How much did my organization change in the last 3 years? Does it, is it similar to that change that we saw in the image? Are we as fast or even close? How much we change in the way we work? Because in HR, it's about how we work in the organization. Are we still sticking to spans and layers and job descriptions like before? Or are we starting to be transformational? And what we actually want to achieve in the next 3 years, or maybe 10, because if you want to be brave and transformational, we have to take a longer-term perspective. So we will not achieve real progress unless we start to move with the same speed like the external world. And a quote from Jack Welch that it's sometimes make me, it's a reminder for me as well that we need to be faster in HR in the organization, is if the rate of change on the outside exceeds the rate of change on the inside, then the end is near. And if we are honest with ourselves, in HR, we are not as fast in change, in changing the way we work, in changing our procedures and ways of working, as our colleagues maybe in sales or working directly in the market. But we need to change that. We need to be as fast as they are. And we need to build a culture that is accommodating fast change. Bill Gates, and I just learned that in New Delhi, it's now a conference where many AI leaders of the world are presenting, including Bill Gates these days, which shows the big interest that India has for technology and change. He said that we always overestimate the change that will occur in the next 2 years and underestimate the change that will occur in the next 10 years. So a few years ago, when I started to explore the world of AI and I was interested, I was talking with many business leaders, and they were like, oh, no, this is not going to happen. This will take a long time to happen. And now it's here, and in many organizations, we see that they are trying to catch up. So we tend to underestimate these major changes sometimes. Some business leaders in technologies are saying that in the next 4 years, we'll see the technological equivalent of 100 years of change. And this is, again, something really scary. Now, my challenge to you is, for a minute, let's try to have a look into the future. And look into the future on only one dimension for today, because we don't have time, the way people will communicate in the future. So, the first question, how do you think people will communicate in 2040? So, 14 years from now. And there is no right or wrong question, of course, because it's the future. We cannot possibly know for sure. But what do you think? if you would just give it a try. And please feel free. Whoever wants to say anything, even without a mic, just shout it out. How do you think people will communicate in 2040? Any thoughts? Any guess? Come on, we are in HR. We have to be brave. What do we imagine as possible way of people communicating in 2040? Sorry? Yeah, of course. But what's our guess? What we expect? Telematic. Very good answer. Telematic. That's a possibility. Anything else? Sorry? Another dimension? AI agents? Maybe one more? People like us? Okay. Okay. So we heard different, of course, we don't know. So we heard different options, right? And I hear often telematically, I hear often through technology, I hear, oh, we will have a chip in our heads and we will communicate directly. Now I will rephrase the question. How would you like people to communicate in 2040? So how would you like them to communicate? I think I heard empathy, face-to-face. Okay, anything else? So I heard the word empathy, I heard face-to-face. More balanced. More. Balance and respectful. So, can you spot a difference in by the first question, how you think people will communicate? Most of the answers were related to technology, telepathic, AI, from the distance. The second question I heard was like human touch, connection, face-to-face, responsible. Now, the difference, we don't know how the future will look like. But there is a methodology, a discipline called foresight or future thinking that is helping us to build the future that we want to live in. Because there is no such thing like one version of the future. There is one version of the past. Even that, if you talk with historians, you might hear different versions of the past as well. But for the future, now, today, if we look towards the future, there are still so many possibilities. And we are the people that are going to build the future for our organizations, for our countries, for our own lives. But for that, we need to be proactive. And we have, in the world of foresight, we have a saying, nobody wants to live in somebody else's future. But if we do nothing, if we are just reacting, the future will be there anyway, but it will be a future designed by someone else, not by us. So our role in HR is to become more proactive, to build this kind of future that we want to live in. And if the answers that I heard are more face-to-face, more direct, more human contact, more respect for the other, then we have to start today to build that kind of future, because otherwise we will find ourselves in 2040 in a future that we might not even like. But in order to do that, we need to move from a reactive perspective to a more proactive perspective. I heard today a talk that I particularly like about our role as HR people to be the architects of the transformation. Last year, I organized an event, it was an event about people strategies in London, and I invited a professor from Oxford, Dr. Robert Collins. Is a professor that I work with quite a lot, because I'm also teaching for Oxford sometimes for the Department of Continuous Education. And he's a professor teaching artificial intelligence and machine learning ever since, I think for 15 years already. He's really a tech guy, a mathematical mind. And when I invited him to talk to a group of HR people, he did a lot of research before, because he said, oh, I'm not familiar with HR. And when he came, he said something that literally made me reconsider my profession. He said, as an IT person that has been always working with, machine learning, artificial intelligence, mathematics, I thought that the AI transformation, the AI adoption is the job of the IT department in the company, maybe operations. But now I came to the realization that this is the job of the HR department. HR should lead the digital transformation. HR should tell the people in IT what tools to bring, because otherwise, in this race of, oh, let's bring AI as quick as possible in the organization, we might bring tools that are not actually changing things fundamentally into good. Because if you bring AI and you put it on a badly designed process, that process will be just faster, not better. It will be still bad, but faster. So it's our role as HR to reimagine the organizations of the future, to try to understand how the world will look like and how we want the world of our organization to look like in the future, to redesign the structures, to redesign the roles, and then to bring IT people to give us the AI that will enable those transformations, not the other way around. So it's our role, and again, we have to ask ourselves these questions very openly. Have we been really strategic in the last years? Because quite often, and I work a lot with HR people, being an HR person myself, and we complain a lot, oh, our CEO doesn't consider us a strategic partner. They talk more with the CFO or with the people in the tech department. But have we done enough to gain this important role, to sit at the table as a strategic partner for our CEOs? And sometimes yes, but sometimes not. Sometimes we did mainly a lot of admin work and we were quite reactive. So the first question is, are we really strategic? And if not, we should be. But the more important question are they, because strategic is already outdated, I must say. We have to be transformational. We have to come up with what is really new and to support our leaders in a big transformation of the organization. How the future of work will look like. We will have still workplaces, or everything will change completely. So it's our role to design this future. And we have to really step up into the driving seat of our organizations. Otherwise, things will happen without us having a contribution. And how we do that, we cannot address the challenges of tomorrow using the tools of yesterday. We cannot work in the same way we did before. So we need to learn new tools. We need to be more innovative. So, and what we actually need, from my experience, what we actually need for the future, it's a blend of 3 disciplines, and we need to learn them fast. And I've been working in the last years with these tools quite a lot. And trust me, mainly people that are in tech or maybe in sales are interested, and not so many HR people, but we need to change that. So the first one is system thinking, because every change that we do, it has a systemic impact. So we have to learn how to measure that. We have to learn how to understand the unintended consequences of our changes, the feedback loops. And this is where system thinking helps us. Then we have to use design thinking. Design thinking is a purely human-centric approach that helps us to design personalized experiences for our people. One size doesn't fit all anymore. We have to use the technology nowadays to build personalized experiences. And in the middle, it's futures thinking. We cannot stick to what we need today, what are the problems of today, because if we keep solving problems of today, we will always be reactive. We have to imagine the future and start proactively working as HR to address those challenges. This leads to a future of work that is built on empathy. It's built on people that thrive, which means thinking for the future, and AI as an enabler, as something that helps them work better together. Because the future of work, it's not something we will find somewhere. We have to design it in a proactive way. So I will move fast. We even created an innovation meta model for HR, but unfortunately I don't have time to get into that. The reality of today is that only 1 out of 5 companies really strategically prepare of the future. When I talk to leaders, and I moderate many strategy workshops, and I tell them, so what's the time frame you want to take? And they say, well, the strategy for next year. And I say, I'm really sorry, this is not strategy. It's a business plan. So if you call strategy what you prepare for the next year, you're already having a big problem. So strategy, it's for the long term. And 1 of 5 are doing this. Only 1 out of 20 adjust the course accordingly because they are too much into the rush of solving today's problem. And scenarios should be at least 10 years ahead. Okay, so I will try to move really fast, just 1 more minute, to show you that, in my opinion, AI and empathy can work together if we design the kind of future that we really want to live in. So the empathy is the foundation. We have to start from the empathy, not from the AI, not what AI tools we bring in the organization. People need to be seen, to be heard, and to be supported. Then, this is because technology will define how we work, but empathy will define who we become. And the organizations that will win this battle are those who are not making a choice between them, but making them work together. So we should not ask people, how fast can you deploy artificial intelligence? But how deeply our organizations is really willing to transform so that we can keep our attention for people. Because thriving companies are built at the speed of trust. Now, of course, we are HR people. We love to speak about empathy, but we have to face this reality check. Empathy alone, it's not enough, because scaling, it's hard. So you can't, if you have 10,000 employees in the organization, you cannot give them personal attention. Managers everywhere are overwhelmed. HR is expecting to do more, but with less money every year, right? And then burnout, disengagement, skill gaps. So empathy is the intention, but intention without system do not scale. And we will have in the organization AI agents that will help us. We will have specialist agents. We will have colleague agents, and we will have supervisor agents. And this doesn't mean, if we design the future of work of our organization in a meaningful way, this doesn't mean layoffs. I give you the example of IKEA, who took 8,500 customer service agents, replaced that work with AI, with robots, but retrained them as virtual design consultants and actually generated 1.4 more billion through their work. So it doesn't mean we have to lay off people. We have to reconsider the way they can bring value to the organization. Now, from empathy to AI, we have to look at the tech as an empathy multiplier. And here are some use cases. I'm sorry I don't have the time to go in details into them, but just to highlight, listening at scale. Because listening, how much can we really listen? Let's be honest. I mean, if you have 10,000 people, how much you can listen as an HR? But with sentiment analysis that actually AI can help with pulse surveys, we can listen better. Fairness and bias checks. Now, we speak about hallucination, but AI is improving. So in the recruitment, it will help us quite soon to remove some of the biases. Then personalized growth. People are complaining about the training programs because they try to fit everyone in the same box. But AI will help us with personalized growth. And then will help us with burnout detection, with early warning signs that will help us to address problems before they become critical. And of course, providing real support for managers, because managers are quite lonely in this world. It's really hard to be a manager nowadays. Now, last slide. The journey, I truly believe that we can leverage what we have through AI, not making people useless through the artificial intelligence. And the journey from empathy to AI, it's not a journey from soft to smart. It's a journey from intention to impact. So if we want to remain in the history as HR managers or leaders who really made an impact, we have to start designing that sort of future for our organizations, that sort of future where people will be really valued. And the future of work is not predicted by the futurists. It's not predicted in general. It's built. It's designed by the leaders. And I want to believe that the leaders that will design the future of many organizations in Asia or across the globe are today in this room. And so we have a choice. And the choice and the question we should ask ourselves is what kind of organization we want to build. So coming back to my question, it's an organization where we will only have tech, or an organization where we will talk to each other and tech will be the enabler. So thank you very much. And if you want to stay, oh, sorry, I just had the last slide. So my strong belief is that the future of work is human-centered and tech-enabled. As I said, high-tech and high-touch, they can go together. And I also believe if we don't design, I mean intentionally design the future of work with empathy, we will end up living in a future that works for systems and not for people. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm happy to stay in touch. I'm happy to share more. And I'm confident that together, if we join forces as HR people, we can really build a future where people will thrive and technology will support that. Thank you very much.